So we're going to really build up a track from these set of samples. I'm going to convert some of this to MIDI so I can extract the chords from these samples and then use them on the vocal for vocoding those vocals. It's basically some chords with drum and vocal, and there's a bass here on the third track. So let's just take a quick listen. Most you hear on this first track are chords basically being played really loud. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to select harmony to a new MIDI track. If you want, say, melody is more for like solo lines or bass lines, and obviously drums are for drums. So let's just try and get those chords. So what that's going to do is going to create a new track. So as you can see here, it's created quite a messy looking MIDI track and there's lots of stuff going on. But when you take a quick listen to it, it's quite repetitive. Chop it up to its lowest loop denominator, which is this. Press Ctrl J, so we're just going to go ahead and consolidate that. Now we've got much less to work with. So I'm now going to just clean this up a bit and I will return when it's done. Right, so eventually I cleaned it up and this is how it looks. So just expand the screen a bit for you. It is nice and clean. So those notes, it didn't take me too long. I think it took me like 2 minutes just to put the notes into a sort of regular pattern. Some are coming in a bit before the beat. I added a drift, a preset called Fez Keys, and I really like the way it sounded because especially that filter, the filter and the drift, which is a new Ableton instrument, by the way, that came out with Ableton 11, is pretty nice. Now I think to make the track better for vocoding, it's better to have a sharper sound, maybe not too crazy, but we'll just take a listen to something like this, which has a high pass, low pass filter like this. So that is nice and sharp, and the reason that's going to be sharp is because now we're going to go into the vocal track, and if you just remember how the vocal track sounds, and it also already sounds pretty nice, but if we now type in vocal and we go into audio effects, we just bring in a blank vocoder and we're going to just select external carrier, and the input's going to come from that MIDI track. So this vocoder just works mostly with MIDI. So let's just take a quick listen to how the vocal sounds with the vocoder connected to that new MIDI track. So there's ways we can improve this. I'm going to loop this around. I'm going to show you ways you can make this sound much clearer. So the first thing I like to do is click on the retro button. The retro button gives you a bit of randomness and it makes it a bit grittier, and I like that sound a bit better, and it sounds more kind of from the 80s, I guess. And the other thing that I like to do is increase the number of bands to 40, to the maximum amount. So you've got like more grains of the vocal going to the vocoder. And we're just going to increase the unvoiced. So this is just sets the volume of the unvoiced noise generator, and we're just going to reduce that depth because it sounds like it's overloading too much. We could also change the speed, and I think fast is fine, and the sensitivity. We can change the attack. And we can get rid of some of the low frequencies by just reducing using the pen here. And just adding a bit of form and gives it a bit of width. So that's fine. Now we're going to just reduce the dry wet so we can actually hear the original vocal as well. Now let's listen to it together. The other thing you could do is you can actually just duplicate the vocal, so we can just duplicate it here, increase the dry wet completely on one track, and on the other track have it completely off.